Hey everybody, it's Carrie Clark with SpeechAndLanguageKids.com and the Speech Therapy Solution. Today I am coming at you with a question about push-in therapy. Now I just did a webinar on push-in therapy, but somebody has asked on the website about specifically the data collection portion of push-in therapy. So I'm going to share with you a little bit of information that is from the push-in therapy webinar that I did. If you would like to watch the whole webinar, you can have access to that within the membership site. You just need to go into the webinars and look for the one that says push in, or just go on the main website and type in push in webinar in the search bar and you will find the recording for that. Or you can scroll down below the video. I have a link there too. All kinds of ways for you to get it. Okay, but anyway, this is the part about data collection. So how do you collect data during push-in therapy when your hands are busy, you've got a preschooler running crazy, or your kids are off doing all kinds of different things and you're having trouble keeping track of them anyway? How do you collect data? So here we go. The first thing you need to do is know which goal you're going to target before you walk into the room, okay? If there are a lot of skills that you could target, you need to pick one to collect data on. That doesn't mean that you can't work on those other skills if they come up, but pick one skill that you're going to work with, that you're going to collect data on. And if you're doing multiple push-in sessions, just pick one per session. So if you have 5 goals to work on, then you collect data on 1 goal per session that you do push-in, okay? So you're not going in to try to collect that on everything at the same time. Pick one at a time. And then once you do that, once you pick which goal you're going to work on or which goal you're going to collect data on, then you want to choose one method of data collection, okay? So you can use the traditional where you are marking each trial, or you can use Rubric Style, which I'm going to show you here in a minute, or you can use anecdotal notes where you're actually writing a narrative about the session. I personally prefer Rubric, but we're going to talk about all of them. So to create or collect data sheets, if you start over. Step 3 is to create or collect data sheets. And in order to do that, I have some examples for you. So if you click on, well, that's not going to be clickable in the video. If you go to the data collections post, and I'll put that down below the video. If you go to that link, speechandlanguagekids.com/data collection ideas for speech therapists, if you go there, you can get all of the data sheets that I have used in the past and the ones that I've created. That will allow you to do the traditional, where you just do a plus for every positive or a correct response, a circle for every incorrect response. You can do that way. I have some data sheets for that. I have data sheets for actually writing notes about things, and then I have data sheets for the rubric style. So let's go ahead. There we go. And talk about that data, the rubric style. So this is the one that I recommend for push-in therapy because you don't have to collect data on every single trial that happens, but you can still get a numeric score, which allows you to have percentages and be able to mark progress. So what you're going to do is you're going to rate the student's performance on a scale of 1 to 5, and you're going to collect data on their performance overall. So you get 1 rating for the entire session. Okay, so you say, well, for most of the session or a majority of the trials, the child needed this amount of support. So the answer, or I'm selecting a number 3. Or the other option is that you can collect data once at the beginning, so the first time, the first trial, and then once at the end of the session, the last trial. I like to do that way because what I can do is see how they're doing before therapy or without any therapy, I guess cold, and then how they're doing once they've practiced it a few times. So that gives me information on, do we need to keep working on this skill? Because if they always take 6 or 7 reps before they get to the point where they can do it independently, then I need to know that they haven't quite mastered it because they have to practice it first. So that's what I like to do. I like to take 1 rating at the beginning, 1 rating at the end, so that I have 2 data points for each session. If you want to just do 1 data point for the session and just give an overall rating, that's fine too. So then once you have your rating of 1 to 5, you get a percentage and you just take their score divided by 5 times 100. So if you rated them out of 4, that's 80%. So you can have a nice neat percentage even though you're just rating on a scale of 1 to 5. Alternatively, you can rate on a scale of 1 to 10 if you feel like you have, if you need more data points so that you can have show faster progress. That's an option as well. All right, so here's an example of the rubric style scoring. So this one would be if you're having a child do something. So if they're following directions or participating in something, this scale here is going to indicate how much assistance they needed and how independent they were at doing that skill. Now you can write anything you want below these numbers here. This is just an example of how this works for a certain type of therapy. So if they, let's say that they, you ask them to sit in a chair. Let's say you're asking them to sit in a chair. Full physical assistance would be you literally had to put them in that chair. That's a number 1. They got a 1. Partial physical assistance, maybe you just kind of had to guide them over to the chair. So that they would get a number 2. They would get a number 3 if they just needed gestural and verbal assistance. So you pointed at the chair and you said, sit in your chair, sit right there. That would be a number 3. A number 4 would be if you just had to say, sit down in your chair, and they did it. And number 5 would be they didn't need any assistance. They just went over and sat in their chair. Okay, so that would be the spectrum of the 5 points. You just circle which one it was. Okay, an alternative would be, let me pull this down a little bit. Let's say you're working on speech sounds. So you could have a 1 through 5 of production of a speech sound in whatever context you're doing. So a 1 would be they got it wrong. A 5 would be they got it correct and it was clear. A 4 would be that it was really close, but just not quite there, or really close approximation. 3 would be that they approximated it, not super close, but it was approximated. 2 would be a cued production, so you had to help them get the placement and then they were able to do it. And again, 1 would be incorrect. So as you can see, some of these are going to be a little subjective. Well, was that really close approximation or just sort of close? But as long as you are scoring consistently each time you score, then it's going to be okay. You're still going to be able to mark progress on that. So those are examples of the rubric style. Again, this may be, you can use whatever text in there you want. If you're working on a writing assignment, those 5 different things could be the components of the writing that you're scoring. And let's say they're writing a story and they need to have so many different story elements like character setting, plot, or not plot, climax. So, you could have, they got 3 of the 5 elements, they got 4 of the 5 elements. So that would be a way you could use it. There's all kinds of uses for the rubric style. And it's really, really helpful for doing push-in therapy because you're going to be able to take data. You can even take data when you leave the room. So if you can't take data in the room at all, you can just take it when you get back to your room. You can just say, okay, let's see, that was about a 4 for most of those. So then that child gets a 4 for that session. So it's just a really easy way to do it when you don't have a whole lot of time to be sitting there marking each tally point. All right, I hope that helps. If you have any questions on that, you can leave that below the video and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.